for today's lesson, I thought it would be so much fun to go out into the neighborhood and ask some random people different science vocabulary questions. So come with me.
It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? It's a neighborly day in this beauty wood, a neighborly day for beauty. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? I have all.
Okay, let's stop here and see if we could figure out the definition of a medium and a wave. Let's see who this house is. Wonderful. Mrs. Helgestad, can you tell me the definition of a medium?
A physical environment in which a phenomena occurs.
What about a wave?
A periodic disturbance in a solid, liquid, or gas as energy is transmitted through a medium.
All right, we're at our second stop. Let's see if we could find out our definition of a longitudinal and transverse wave. Oh, it's
Hi.
Mrs. Smith.
Hey there! Funny seeing you over here.
Mrs. Smith, can you tell me what a longitudinal and transverse wave is?
I sure can. Let me step outside so my dog doesn't bark through the whole thing. A transverse wave is a wave where the particles of the medium move perpendicular to the direction the wave is traveling. And a longitudinal wave is where the particles of the medium are moving parallel with the direction that the wave is traveling.
All right, at our next stop, let's find out what wavelength is and amplitude. Oh, it's
Hey!
Mr. Speck.
How are you?
Wonderful. Mr. Speck, can you tell me what
There's my dog.
kind of dog is that?
That is a mixture between a poodle and Australian Shepherd.
Oh, so what do you call
Aussie
that?
Doodle.
An Aussie doodle.
Aussie Doodle. Mini Aussie Doodle.
Is
Yep.
it shed?
No, not at all.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yes.
Beautiful. Oh, anyway, back
Anyway,
to science.
The important stuff.
Can you tell me what the definition of a wavelength and amplitude is?
Ooh, those are some tough questions. But if I remember correctly, wavelength is the distance from crest to crest and trough to trough. Is that about right? Does that look good?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Amplitude, going way back to when I was 11, 50 years ago. I believe that's the height of a wave. Is that?
Yeah.
Does that
that's
work?
right. That's good.
Must have had some good teachers like Mr. Denny back then.
All right, our next stop here, we're going to stop at Mrs. Ilka's house. You know how much Mrs. Ilka loves science. She's going to give us a little tutorial on reflection and refraction. We're going to call this Mrs. Ilka's Happy Hour of Science.
How's it going? I hope distance learning is going well. So today we have a great topic, reflection versus refraction. And I just have a couple things really quick to demonstrate. So, you know me, I love science. And first I want to talk a little bit about all the all the things around us, sound, the air, what we see, it all travels in waves. And so these waves change. Sometimes they reflect, sometimes they refract, okay? So to show reflection, probably the easiest thing is when you look in a mirror, right? You look in the mirror and what you see, the waves bounce off and go back into your eye and it reflects and you see yourself. So that's like a reflection. A refraction is when we actually take the waves and we bend them. And so they look a little different. Have you ever seen a rainbow? Have you ever looked through water droplets? It looks like that what we see, the waves are bent and they change. So a great example of that is if you look through this cup, try it at home. This is my reusable straw. It looks like it's split. Why does it do that? It does it because the waves run differently through water than it does through the air. And it refracts, it bends, and that's refraction. One example of refraction, another one, have you ever seen one of these? A prism? The prism bends the light, it refracts it. Let me show you on my shirt. If you can see, Mr. Den Hartog, it's little tiny rainbows. Those little rainbows is the color of sunshine, so it bends. Refraction, reflection. There you have it.
All right, we're at our next stop now. Let's see if we could figure out what wave speed and frequency are. Oh, Mrs. Wasik. Yeah, I'm just here asking random people science-related questions.
Ooh, okay.
Hey,
All right.
Steve, you got Mr. Wasik.
Oh, man.
I believe I'm up for the task today.
All right. We're also meeting everyone's dogs. We are. All right.
Mr.
So,
Den Hartog's arms are so long, we're 6 feet away.
so if you could tell me what frequency is,
I know.
and what wave speed is.
Frequency, the amount of waves produced in a given amount of time.
Wave speed is the speed at which a wave travels through a medium.
Anything else you'd like to say to your students that you're missing?
I miss you guys. Hang in there.
I would just say don't quit. Keep working hard. Distance learning, we're going to keep doing it, and don't give up.
All right, we're continuing our journey here. Let's see if we can figure out what diffraction and interference are now at our next spot.
Mr. Den Hartog.
Oh, it's Mr. Triplett.
How's it
Oh
going?
my goodness gracious. Good, how are you?
I'm doing well.
We're asking random people questions on science vocabulary. Do you know what diffraction and interference are?
Diffraction, huh? Diffraction is the change in the direction of a wave, I believe.
Yeah, that sounds really good.
Am I right, Mr. Den
Yeah,
Hartog?
that's perfect.
What's the next word?
Interference.
Interference. Combination of two waves going together
Okay, to make one wave?
to make one wave.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
thank you, Mr. Triplett. I appreciate all your time.
All right. Stay
All right.
safe.
Anything you want to say to your students or the students?
Enjoy distance learning. Mr. Den Hartog's awesome.
That's right. He's got that right.
In the general public. The Attorney General Keith Ellison's office.
All right, guys, let's go back to my house. Let's see what's going on. I'm going to go ask one last question to the smartest person I know, and we'll see how we do. Okay, we're continuing with this science vocab. I got 2 more words to do. 2 of the hardest words of the science vocabulary. So we'll see how this goes. All right, I'm finally back in my neighborhood. And I wanted to ask my wife one last question here. We're going to find out what a standing wave is and what resonance is. So we're going to walk up here. I wonder how much you guys will remember from all this. All right, here we go. Oh, it's Mrs. Den Hartog.
Hi.
Mrs. Den Hartog, can you tell me what a standing wave is and what resonance is?
Sure. A standing wave is vibrations that simulate a wave to stand still. And then resonance is when it's a phenomenon when 2 objects vibrate at the same time. So if one object is vibrating, then the other object will pick up that frequency, and the sound produced by one object causes the other object to vibrate as well.
Okay, anything else you want to say to the kids or students?
We miss you, and it'll be good to see you again at some point. Don't you live here?
I do. Maybe you'll have her as a teacher next year. You can only hope. Say goodbye.
Bye. Take care, everybody.
If you're going my way, well, I wanna drive it all night long. To all these cities and all these towns.